The mission I want you to lead.
I'll need my own team.
Hey guys, Society Reviews here in my review of the film The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Filmmaker Guy Ritchie has had a pretty good run over the last couple years in terms of his work behind the camera. The last 5 years have seen several critical hits such as Wrath of Man, The Gentleman, and Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. When it comes to The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, you have to feel like this was a buddy favorite to create good grace for a future movie. The reason why I say this is because despite Guy Ritchie being the director of this film, this movie has 4 screenwriters, Ritchie included. A good rule of thumb when it comes to Hollywood movies is that if a film has more than 2 screenwriters, chances are the quality of that movie is going to be in the mud. In the culinary world, we call this having too many cooks in the kitchen. In Hollywood, we call this having a narrative too many. And The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is a perfect example of this. Set in World War II, the film revolves around the SOE, a covert British organization formed in 1940 by Winston Churchill. In the height of Britain's battle against Adolf Hitler, British forces decide to conduct an espionage mission to infiltrate the Nazi ranks in order to sabotage their position and their supplies in hope of gaining an advantage in the ongoing war. Gus Marks Phillips, played by Henry Cavill, leads a team against the Nazis in hope to take out their boat port, as all the men involved are trusted by British intelligence because they all have a motive to seek revenge against the Nazi regime. However, they are told that if anything goes awry, they'll be left out on their own and denied by their government. While this is happening, an entertainer and a famous bar owner are rubbing noses with the Nazi government in order to keep them distracted long enough for the plan to work. Even though Guy Ritchie is the writer, producer, and director of this film, most of his style is completely absent in the movie. If you've seen one Guy Ritchie movie, there's a narrative in his tone that goes along with his films and makes him very identifiable as a director. However, with this film, with him being only one of 4 screenwriters attached to this movie, a lot of his flair is removed. In case you need another reminder, the Nazis were the bad guys in World War II, and as a result, this film goes all in on the brutality of killing Nazis on screen. Henry Cavill is in the film as the over-the-top wild man of the group who goes on killing Nazis with a passion. You can tell that Henry Cavill absolutely enjoys chewing up the scenery in this film, understanding that he's an over-the-top violent action movie, and it shows in his performance. Alan Ritchson, who has not done himself any favors by burying his target audience for this film during the week of promotion, is the physically imposing brute of the movie. While the actor doesn't dress like he's in the time period he's supposed to be in, his job is to be the equivalent of the Incredible Hulk when it comes to hand-to-hand combat against his adversaries. The problem with this film arises when the film pivots away from our core group of spies and then shifts to the subplot. While Cavill is the A-plot of this story, Issa Gonzalez comes the B-plot of this story as an entertainer smoozing her way through the Nazi regime in hopes that people won't figure out that she's actually a Jew. The casting of this character is a little tough to believe, as Gonzalez, who is clearly Mexican, is attempting to play a half-Jewish actress, let alone a covert agent. You will certainly notice the diversity, equity, and inclusion requirements of this film, which wouldn't be so glaring if it didn't contribute to the biggest flaw of the movie. The film has too many writers and too many characters. The movie effectively tries to tell the story of several characters through the pens of several writers, which makes the film a narrative mess for the most part. A 2-hour runtime, and most of that is pulling focus away from the central story, which makes it hard for audiences to stay engaged throughout the movie. What saves this film from being a complete disaster is a very strong third act, where all the world building is finished and the movie can go straight into the action. What the film lacks in screenwriting, it makes up for in cinematography and stunt choreography, which should distract the audience long enough for not to dwell too much on the cons of the movie. The best way to describe The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is overbooked. A film that tries to be all the things before figuring out what it is as a film. The golden rule of thumb with movies is that when all else fails, less is more, including the actors, writers, and characters. I give this film a 2.5 out of 5.
If we fail, England will be condemned to a lifetime under the German boot.